Quad 6.6. This is my Wobble-Goblin. Specifically these motors, these GEP-RC 1202 motors, and I think these are the 8000 kV ones. Something about these motors on Betaflight, I could not get them, I just couldn't get them tuned. They wobbled. I tried really hard, did all my usual stuff, and I couldn't get it tuned on Betaflight. And I was basically about to pull these motors off, and I thought, let me try one more thing. Let me see if I can tap into the EMUflight superpower, which is to fix wobbly little quads, or wobbly big quads, just wobbly quads in general. And that's kind of where EMU started, was people having trouble with versions of Betaflight after 3.5.7, and EMUflight was basically just 3.5.7, and people liked it for that reason. Since then, EMUflight has obviously evolved into something that I think brings value definitely for whoops. The angle mode code in EMUflight is definitely superior to Betaflight for whoops, 100%, hands down, no questions asked. But I haven't really gotten into it for the open props, you know, the regular whoops and stuff, because I haven't needed to, and Betaflight has a lot of great features and worked well for me. And I haven't needed to until this quad, because this quad I've been trying to tune and couldn't get it done. So last ditch effort, put some EMUflight on it. I put my kind of standard 2S 2.5 inch prop PIDs in. I didn't mess with the filters at all because I don't honestly know how to tune EMUflight filters. And then it doesn't have feed forward, which I kind of don't like, because I like me some feed forward, especially with the new with the, you know, Ghost or Express RLS, when you've got these really good working high quality fast RC links. Feed forward just makes you locked and dialed in. But so this is a question. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, plug this in, and get this fired up, and go ahead and fly a battery and see if we have wobbles or not. I'm gonna keep this running, and I'll take the audio from this, because I'll keep talking to you, and give you the DVR though out of the quad, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I don't do something silly here. Alright, that looks good. Alright. Okay, so I had just totally botched that. I'd just flown a pack, but forgot to hit record on the DVR. And it's unfortunate, because I wanted to give you kind of like my quick, candid response. So, but what I felt there was that the bobbles were gone. Then of course I crash, and it's not as bad, but it's much better. So, or not as bad as Betaflight. Basically, it's got some prop wash here, and this is just a stock kind of 2S 2.5 inch prop tune. I didn't tune this for these motors specifically. Ah, bummer. Can I take off out of this? Maybe. Oh, I got lucky. So this isn't really tuned for this quad, but you can see no major bounce back or anything. And a little prop wash, but that can be dialed out. But anyways, with EMUflight, I just basically put in my P and D and I, and then just left their filters in. And this is certainly far better than I ever got it with Betaflight. I mean, because basically it's flyable. With Betaflight, it wasn't really flyable. But then it left me with the question of, like, do I miss the feed forward from Betaflight? Because with these, you know, good RC links, I really like feed forward. I like a ton of feed forward, and my impression, I'm not gonna be able to fly out of that, unfortunately. So let me pause this. Let me get that. Okay, so I got this, and yeah, unfortunately I forgot what I was saying. So Anyways, it is a little windy out, and so some of the bobbles are going to be just wind. I'm asking a lot for this, but the bobbles aren't fully gone. There's still some weirdness there. And then I missed the feed forward. I think I'm going to say it that I can do this, but no, maybe I can't. I feel like I'm behind on my heels. I feel like I'm flat and having a hard time kind of really getting in. Yeah, just kind of really getting in there and pushing it. So you know, basically, I think the conclusion on that is, you know, if you do have a Wobble-Goblin quad, right? EMU's going to fix it up for you. That's one of its superpowers. But you're going to give up feed forward. And if you like feed forward like I do, I don't know if that's a trade-off you're going to be willing to make. I think you might just be reaching for sorting out the wobbles mechanically, you know, with grabbing motors that work better in terms with EMUflight, and just going from there. Now they are working on some new stuff. There's the thing they're calling the Smith predictor, and basically the idea behind a Smith predictor is that if you know that you have a process with a lot of inherent delay on it, can you throw an extra loop inside the big loop, making some kind of prediction to update the information to compensate from that delay? And if that sounds a little too good to be true, it sort of is, because what happens is, although it may work in conditions where the model is correctly predicting, you can imagine that it's just not going to be as robust. It's, you know, it's going to be more prone to failing in situations where the model doesn't quite get the prediction right. Throw one more battery in here. Get one more battery in. Let me see how I feel. Let me get one more. But so on that Smith predictor, I, you know, kind of just did a little research in terms of looking for some papers. So modeling is something I enjoy doing. I do it for some of the research I do. And so it's just a topic I find interesting. I like digging into it, but I'm not by any means formally trained in modeling. But you know, one of the papers I found was just looking at Smith predictor, and it was like one of the things they looked at. It was kind of this trade-off of improved performance versus robustness. And that's just the general gist with models of, if you take something and you make it a tighter fit, so you make the model more flexible, so you can better predict very specifically, you trade off with some stiffness and you lose robustness. So basically, you can overfit, meaning you're going to chase noise, and the problem then is, if the noise changes, you're going to make bigger errors than if you had a stiffer model that wasn't as over-predicted. And so I shared that paper on EMUflight, and I kind of jokingly said, you know, drops this paper in the room, and, you know, then leaves. And what does he go by? Flash? Something Flash? Glenn, the main guy behind EMUflight. His response, he wasn't very thrilled with him bringing the paper in. And I understand, he kind of got beat up pretty bad by, especially like Mark Spatz from Betaflight, calling him a flat earther and things like that. And I think some of that was unfair, because ultimately he did bring to us, you know, a new product that has value. But in this case, it's like, I just want to discuss this thing, and I understand EMU's your baby, but if you want your baby to survive and thrive out in the world, you got to be able to like have some real conversations. And I think in this case, when we're talking about modeling, and you're talking about throwing in this Smith predictor, you have to understand the trade-offs you're going to make. And there's all these bobbles. Maybe there's some wind gusts. It's not handling the wind quite as well. But that's the thing, like if you're, I don't know, to me it reminds me a little of like a perpetual motion machine. If you're looking for the impossible, you're going to end up with the impossible in terms of it's not going to live up to the promise. Like it may look good in some way, and if you pull a little sleight of hand, you can make it look good. But at the end of the day, there's going to be some trade-off, and I think that trade-off is going to be robustness. We'll see. I could be wrong though. Maybe they prove me wrong, and maybe this is that niche application where they can get the Smith predictor tuned well enough to where they get it working pretty well. I think Ryder's out here telling me that I've been flying drones too long. Or he's just saying, is he just waving? Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, at the end of the day, EMU is letting me fly these motors and have some fun on them, so I think that's a win. I think I do have to give it that. But it's not perfect, and there's the little weird bobbliness, so ultimate conclusion, did it totally fix the Wobble-Goblin? Not totally. Did it exceed expectations? Maybe a little bit. Do I think this is the answer? Not really. I think the answer is just cleaning it up mechanically with motors that don't have these unfortunate traits that these super flat motors seem to have, with being hard to tune and having these weird bobbles and stuff. So I think that's my conclusion. Alright, until next time, cheers. That was a little harsh. It was just a little crash.
To end it?
I didn't mean to crash it that hard.